Hi, I'm Birdie, and I'm going to be reviewing this Stansport Easy Go portable camping toilet. This bad boy is 14 inches tall. The website will say that it is 14 by 14 by 14. More specifically, it is 14 inches tall, about 13 and 3/4 of an inch wide, and almost 14 inches deep, which is kind of strange that they give you all that space and then you only get this little bitty bucket. About 9 inches tall, 8.5 inches that way, 9.5 inches that way. You'll have to excuse the lid. I use it for both a toilet and a table, and for some of you that's going to be ew gross, and for others of you it's going to be that's just van life. So I do have some stains on here already, a little super glue from a crafting situation, and that is one of the things to keep in mind, that this plastic stains pretty easily. That might be a thing with all plastic though, I don't really know. But it is very, very, very well made and sturdy. The seat is very comfortable. I've heard that comfort can be an issue with these Portigo potty thingies. I would say this is definitely a 10 out of 10 on the comfort level. This is how you open it to get to your bucket. The bucket has this little tabs so that it sits in there nicely. You can take that out for cleaning. You can see that the plastic is very thick, very sturdy. It is supposed to handle up to 350 pounds. I am 200 and blah, blah, pounds, and it handles me totally fine. I've not had any issue worrying about it breaking or anything like that. So I definitely say I can speak for anybody around 200 and blah, blah, blah pounds. The inside can be a total pain in the butt to clean, and just so you know, sometimes you will pee and it will get outside of the bucket. That happens. It will sometimes actually get into the well down there. Hasn't happened very often, but every now and then, if I'm not aiming just right, it does end up down there. And I made the dreaded mistake of trying to clean it all out with baking soda and vinegar. And that was a mistake because the baking soda got into all of those crevices down there, and it took me, oh, excuse, there's my pee style. That's where I hold my pee style. That's a whole nother situation. That's for when I'm out camping. Don't suggest using baking soda because there's just too many corners and stuff to try and get it out of. I now use disinfectant wipes, and that works well. If you do get pee on the plastic will hold that smell. I found that just regular vinegar didn't work. I tried hydrogen peroxide, that didn't work. I did the vinegar and baking soda trick, and that did take care of the smell, but it took ages to clean it out, so not recommended. But disinfectant wipes, just from the dollar store, seems to do the trick. It gets rid of the smell and is, of course, you don't have any cleanup after the cleanup, if you will. On the back, it's got this little doorway, which is where I store my pee style. So you can also put toilet paper in there. I don't know if I would recommend that because, again, sometimes you do dribble a little bit of pee in there. Very rarely that it happens, but it happens. So I'm not sure if that's where I would store my toilet paper if I were you, but hey, I'm not you. You do you. These are what they're calling the handles. So they're just like little, and I guess they are, they're handles. They do make it easy to move if you're being able to grab it from the side. If you're wanting to grab it from the front, there is no way to like easily grab it. You're going to just pull up the whole lid, so no handle from that way, which can be kind of a pain depending on how your van is set up. But this has not really a handle, but a place that you can pick it up. I'll show you how I set mine up for use. It's got these handy tabs which hold the bags, and this is actually one of my favorite things about this camper. I mean, about this toilet. Whatever it is, you know what I mean. I always double bag, and then you can just stick down underneath the tabs the plastic. There's 4 tabs to hold it into place. So you can see we've got them in their little tabbies. And I always double bag just in case. For my toilet medium, I guess that's what you would call it, I use the wood pellets. Just put a scoop in there. You can see. Wow. And then pro tip, after you put that in, you're going to want to get all the air out. So push and push until you get all the air out. And as much as possible, you've got the bag flush against the bowl. This is because when you're wiping, sticking your hand in there, you don't want to actually touch the garbage bag, especially if like maybe you've got a little something on that garbage bag. So you're going to want to give yourself as much room for your hand as possible. So push out all the air and try and get that as flush as you can. And then she's ready to potty. Potty party. Then when I have used the restroom, I will just usually, as long as nothing has happened to this first bag, I'll just take the first bag out, leave the original bag in there until like there's an accident and I actually need to take it out. So I'm using a little less plastic anyways. One of the reasons why I try to be as plastic conscious with this as I can is because A, I can't actually afford compostable bags at this point, and B, there is a problem with the toilet that I have to use extra plastic for. And this may be a thing that is with any toilet, particularly ones that have a lid. I cannot speak for other toilets, so I don't know, but I will say that in the winter, when you use the toilet, you know, 'cause you don't want to change out the bag right away, that would be such a waste. So you leave it and then you go to use it again, in the winter at least, when your body fluids are warm and then the air is cold and the cold air meets the warm body fluids, you get lovely condensation all over the lid, or pedensation as I call it. And it is super not fun. In the middle of the night, you wake up, you forget about the pedensation, you go and sit down, and now the back of your butt is all wet. And I'm not sciencey, so I don't know if that's actually pee or if it's just water, because like the water would be the only thing that evaporates, right? I don't know, y'all tell me. Anyway, it's gross. The only thing that I have figured out to do about that, except for change the bag out every time, which I'm not going to do because that's gonna cost money, super bad for the environment, not a fan of that strategy. So what I do is I take a trash bag, I cut it in half so that I just have like a sheet of plastic. After I use the restroom, I will put this down over the top of it. Kind of concave it a little bit into the thing, because otherwise it'll travel up and then get in the crevices in there. So I concave it a little bit into the thing and then make sure that's like folded so that it doesn't get messed up when I close the lid. Then you close the lid and that plastic barrier will keep the pedensation, condensation from rising onto your lid, so that then you can just pick it up. And if you're cost conscious, plastic conscious like I am, there will be pedensation on here. I'm just telling you right now. It doesn't seem to be as much as what gets on the lid, but it does get there. I will just carefully lay it down to the side with the condensation facing up, obviously. Place it to the side, use the restroom, and then put this same one back over it. That might be gross. It might just be van life. That is how I deal with the condensation / pedensation that comes with this toilet for sure, and I would assume probably just about any toilet with a lid, I would think, would do that. Okay, so let's go over the pros and cons just to sum it all up. Pro is most definitely that it does carry up to 350 pounds. That is the main reason that I got this bugger. There were definitely much cheaper ones available that probably would have worked just fine if I wasn't so worried about the fact that I was going to crumple it. Aww, it's gonna rain on my review. Let's go inside. Okay, this works because then I can show you where I put the toilet in my little minivan. I do have a little minivan and she works just fine. I mean, I do have to look at her all the time, but you gotta do what you gotta do. I also really like the tabs that hold the bags. That's really, really very helpful. I definitely think that it keeps the bags in place, which is very important. It says that the seat is a full-size seat. I guess that means it's supposed to be as big as what you would get like in a house toilet. It doesn't seem that way to me. It looks smaller, but it feels very comfortable. So I'm not gonna argue with that. I'll just go ahead and say it looks a little smaller to me, but maybe it actually is a full size and it feels as comfortable as a full size, so that works for me. The cons, which of course everything has cons. The cons of this are the fact that the plastic holds smell, which is probably just a plastic situation and not a this toilet specifically situation. Pro tip for the girls: when you're aiming your pelvis, at least for me, and it's probably different for every girl and all of our anatomies are slightly different, so this probably isn't gonna work for everybody, but at least for me, counterintuitive to what you would think, you want to actually move your pelvis forward instead of backward, because if you go forward, the pee is going to go straight down better. If you tilt your pelvis back, sometimes it actually, at least for me, will shoot the pee straight forward, and that's how it gets out and onto the plastic. It can be very difficult to clean inside there because of the way that it is set up, with you just having a hole to get into all of those nooks and crevices down there. I wish there was a way that you could sort of just lift off the whole top so you could get to that, but that might affect the structural integrity of the thing and make it less likely to hold us big gals. So it is a con, but it's one that I'm certainly willing to live with. The bucket is small. I don't fully understand why they decided to make the bucket so small when they actually have all that space down there where they could have made a bigger bucket. It would certainly be nice on the times when I can use it for a longer period of time without having to change it, to have that like ability. But with the bucket being so small, you really don't. You will go through it pretty fast. So there's a con that I would say is specific to this toilet. Then the biggest con of all to me, which probably is not just this toilet, it's probably any camping toilet with a lid, the condensation that gets all up on the top and having to wipe that out, remembering to wipe it off every time before you use the toilet, or you're gonna have a very unhappy backside, or using that plastic trick, which can be kind of gross as well, but it's better than the alternative. It is not my favorite thing about it. If anybody has any tips and tricks on how to deal with pee sensation, you let me know right away as soon as you can. But again, that is probably not just this toilet, so I wouldn't take anything away from this toilet for it. In fact, the only thing that I would knock this specific toilet for is the size of the bucket. Overall, I would say it is a great butt buddy, and I would definitely recommend it to anybody who wants comfort and the knowledge that it's not going to drop you on your butt. I broke a hammock one time, and so like I'm always a little bit nervous when I sit down on something. Thank you so much for coming and checking out my review. I hope that it helped you make your decision. I've been using it for about 4 months now with mostly great satisfaction. I mean, as much as a toilet can give you satisfaction. Of course, when you wake up in the middle of the night and you really, really need to pee, and the only thing that you could pee into is a bucket beside your bed, it does give you great satisfaction. That is true. So 9 out of 10, satisfied.